Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Cow Emporium. Guess who has 2 weeks off? So that is one bonus of working in the school division, is that I get a Christmas break, I get an Easter break, and I get a summer break, and I get to stay at the farm and do all the things I love during that time, which happens to include letting the chickens out. So I know it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal to me. So let's let the chickens out, and then we're gonna go check the cows. Morning, everybody. Good morning. You want some water? Is that a yes? There you go. Oh, I see you found the tomatoes I brought out. Yeah? How's everybody doing? You got some tomatoes and some leftover squash. There's one-eyed Jack. He's one old rooster. Glad these guys can enjoy my tomatoes. I don't give them too many because they're pretty acidic. But once in a while, it's a nice treat. They really prefer the squashes. Pumpkin, zucchini, spaghetti squash, acorn squash. I had some scallopinis that were going a little soft. I gave them those the other day. So mostly the older birds tend to hang out over on the other side. But they get along. We did a great job of putting these guys together.
Well, it's getting close to that time of year when we're thinking about starting to feed the cows. So we're down here having a look around to see what they're working on and trying to make the decision when to bring out the first bale. Got a pretty mild winter. Sometimes you start right at the end of October. This year it's been nice. It's about a week till Christmas. Christmas time is kind of when you like to start feeding usually. Bring them something about that time of year. It keeps everybody happy. See this, been working over the slough grass down here. They can still get down into it, out of the wind, lay down on something. You start feeding, it costs about $100 a day to feed, more or less. So, a week's difference in when you start feeding is $700. So, for every week of nice winter you get that you don't have to feed, that's a good thing. 2 months before calving, you need to up their nutritional, what they're getting, start giving them a little bit more grain, and as the calf inside is getting bigger and their requirements go up, it's usually getting to be colder too. So it's kind of just by guess and by golly when to start feeding. Sometimes they'll let you know, they'll be on the wrong side of the fence, or they'll be up mooing or looking unhappy, or they get all panicky, but they're just hanging out watching us. There's no super hurry by the looks of things. To start with, they came out onto this field out here, and they were working over these straw bunches really good. There's lots of bedding for them, but they kind of quit working on those and they've started on that slough grass this past week. They all came and made a pass on a field they'd been on before and decided it wasn't any better, so the next day they were all back down here again. I'll take a look around and look at the manure and see how much grain is in there and how firm it is, and make some decisions based on that. See, they've got this area of more or less native grass and worked over. Got a lot of picking left here. See, there's some more native grass up there on drift soil there by that fence line. They're working on that. That piece over there was oat stubble. We didn't bunch it, but there was a fair bit of down stuff because it was pretty lodged. Looks like they've worked it over pretty good. We'll go check the fence line and make sure nothing's been sneaking through and see how much grass is on the fence line, give us an indication of how hungry or not hungry they've been. Now, I've been walking down the fence lines, but they haven't been reaching through for anything. So that's a pretty good indication that they're not super wanting anything yet. A windbreak down here, so otherwise there's not a lot to get out of the wind. Used to be there was just a rock pile down here and you get a storm and they all be huddled behind the rock pile. And then the first few years after we built the windbreak, we'd get a storm and they'd go huddle behind the same rock pile for the first 5 years before they'd come over and use the windbreak. And once they got the hang of it, that was good. We'd have to drag a bale over here and encourage them to get behind the windbreak. They were so used to the rock pile. This is a field we had oats on. We didn't bunch it. We spread it with the chopper on the spreader on the combine. Cows don't really like oat straw, so if we'd bunched it, they would have left it, and it's really super tough and it doesn't break up very well when you're trying to spread it. So you bale up oat straw, it's pretty well only good for bedding or super hungry cows. Far better off if you're going to feed oats to green feed it or use the grain. So they've gone through where the combine threw some over, and anything that was lodged, they were in there. They're not eating the straw, they were trying to get the grain that got missed by the combine. And looks like it's getting pretty close to time to move them on to something else. That's normal. I think cows get a bad rap. People talk about feed conversions and how different animals have better feed conversions, but one thing a cow has going for it, it might not be the most efficient way to turn something into protein, but what they can do is they can take a feed stuff that nothing else can digest. Straw, for example, and this dry old grass, and they've got a rumen, which is a big fermentation vat, so they can take that raw material that nothing else can use and convert it into protein. And I think that is just super cool. Not only that, but they're super hardy compared to other animals. In the wintertime, they can handle a fair bit of cold and wind and stuff that other animals couldn't. And they're as far as predators go, they're pretty resilient that way. I mean, you still have a little trouble with bears and wolves and coyotes, but it's minor compared to people that run sheep or chickens outside or that sort of thing. Anyways, the rumen and the feed conversion of the raw material is what really is the game changer for the cow. It's what it has going for it. It might not be the most efficient, but it can make use of a product that nothing else can and turn it into protein. And that's why people have used cows for all these years. This is some of that tall slough grass that was left over. One of the reasons why I don't like baling it up is the cows don't like eating it even when it's green. They're working it over now in the fall. They're just as fussy about it in the fall as they are if you bale it when it's green. But it gives them something to lay down in and get out of the wind in, and they do eat it a little bit, but you bale that up and try and feed it to them, they won't be happy, so we just leave it, and they seem okay with that. Start checking on the replacement heifers, and got a few oddballs out here that we decided to feed over the winter just for something to do. We were feeding the heifers anyways. Next week they're going to start on feed. Still a fair bit of picking on this grass and oxen milk vetch here that's down here. That'll give them something to do. Yeah, I think we'll probably start feeding them on Tuesday.